Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new series on the channel. Welcome to Hearts of Iron 4, Man the Guns. Welcome to the new DLC. I'm sorry I couldn't get it out any sooner. As you can probably hear by my voice, I'm really bunged up. I'm really sick. I'm going to be honest, I feel like crap. And there's no other way I can put it. But on the bright side, it's here. The DLC is finally here. We've got ships. We've got mines, we've got guns, we've got nipples, and we've got spies. Let's get into this. Okay guys, so in regards to what the DLC brought before we begin, as we all know, not only did it bring in new features, but it also brought in new DLCs for the Dutch, the British, the Yanks, and then the Mexicans. So what I'm going to try and do, whilst I'm recording this city for this playthrough, wow, okay, this playthrough for Britain off camera, I'm going to be trying to understand the best way to play the Netherlands, the US, and the Mexicans. So obviously we can do their series, so we're going to do the British series, Dutch series, American series, Mexican series, and then we'll sort of work our way around that. But yeah, anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to sort of bounce into it as the UK, and have a little bit of fun with the new focus tree. Right, guys, so here we are, starting off nice and easy. As you can see, our fuel is going down, which is not good. I've got everyone here on the move. I've rounded up all the divisions. I've rounded up our research as to what we're researching. All the usual stuff, sort of our production as well. Just getting that all organized. Oh, wait, I forgot how many Navy units are... Oh, hold on, I need to get the Navy in order. I tell you what, though, I don't really show this stuff here, but for the factor of fuel, I really want to show you how bad this sort of does us in. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to go Scotland, South England, Scotland, Iberian region, Southern England, Northern England, Scotland, Southern English, Scotland, like that. Right, so we're going to round all these guys up, and that one down there. We're going to send them all the way down to Portsmouth. And just watch this fuel decline. Oh, okay. Never mind. It's building. Oh, never mind. No, it's not. It's really not building. It's really, really not building. Oh my god. We either need to cut the Navy. Oh my. What's going on with my voice? As I was saying, we need to either cut the Navy in half, or we need to build so many fuel deposits that we have not got nowhere near enough. So this is the home fleet, as you're all familiar with, led by James Founds Somerville, yes. So, he's going to stay docked up in Portsmouth because it's the wisest decision for us all to do. Also, I'm actually going to do I'm going to do Reinforce the Empire, but simply because I can't go down the tree that I want to until little Edward has his marriage. So I'll have to wait patiently for that, sadly. But I'm going on tangents. I know I'm going on so many tangents. I'm sorry. But fact of the matter is, we've got many, many ships, not enough fuel. And that's pretty much the gist of it. I'm going to grab everyone here, like this. There we go. And you lot are actually going to be rounded up here in northern Egypt, in Alexandria. There we go, like that. Excuse me. There we go, medium risk. Everyone round up there. I want everyone to sort of round up. So I'm going to have two separate fleets. I'm going to have my North Fleet and my South Fleet. Now this is going to come in very, very, very handy. Handy. Oh my god, being 6 screws your vocabulary. What the hell? No, it's going to come in handy. Okay, just trust me. Just trust me. Rightio. So now all the ships are in order. Everything's all organized. It's just sort of waiting for time to pass for us to be able to do what we want to do. I'm actually going to give you an idea of what I'm planning to do. The idea is to bring Edward into power. Form the great British Empire all over again. And this time, possibly keep the Americans under control. Potentially don't bring any tea to Boston. And specifically, don't leave any troops lying around. Otherwise, we'll just have a repeat. But yeah, I feel like Canada, if loyal, can be rewarded. If not, they'll be eaten. The Germans, they're going to be a trusty ally, but at the same time, I don't necessarily want to count on them or rely on them. Spanish Civil War has kicked off, great. But yeah, it's just sort of seeing where this goes, because I've had a playthrough of this before, off camera, before I started recording, and it went great. But I don't know, it feels very much of the same, just a little bit more complicated because of Navy and fuel and this, that, and the other. But yeah, we're just going to have fun with it, just see where it goes. I've also got a non-DLC Nation playthrough idea sort of floating around. I'll sort of see what happens with that in regards to that. But yeah. Anyway, if anything sort of interesting happens, I'll fill you in. Here we go, guys. Finally, some progress. Edward VIII abdication crisis. For some time, King Edward VIII has entertained hopes to marry the American Wallis Simpson. A constitutional crisis has now arisen as Mrs. Simpson is not only divorced from her previous husband, but in point of fact still married to her current husband, presently pursuing a second divorce. General outrage has ensured on the grounds that the king, as being the head of the Church of England, Edward cannot marry a divorcee. The king, however, had made it abundantly clear that he is very much in love with Mrs. Simpson and intends to marry her regardless of the opinions of his government or his subjects. As such, only 3 options remain open to him. The British government and the governments of the Dominions have already stated that any alternative to abdication would be unacceptable, and the repercussions of trying to force for a marriage, even an attempted compromise, would likely be dire, not only for Britain itself, but also for its ties to the Commonwealth. As the King's closest advisers continue their attempts to convince him, the public awaits for bated breath and the resolution of his conflict between King and his cabinet. Indeed, but, how about... no. Yes! Come on, Eddie. Let's get you married, chap. Let's get you married and let's get you in charge. Okay, another royal pop-up. Parliament opposes marriage. Various members of the Parliament have today strongly spoken out against the King's plans to marry Mrs. Simpson, rousing a number of their peers to their cause. Political opposition to the King's marriage has thus increased notably. Yeah, exactly. So what I'm going to do, I'm literally, although there are little bits here and there, I'm actually going to show you sort of all the events I'm doing, just in case someone wants to get the king in charge and they kind of mess up halfway. What do politicians know about love anyway? Boom. There we go. Oh, superior firepower, just in time. And service overseas. Right, let's get a 5% research speed buff. And I'm actually, gonna get my Halifax. I do love a Halifax, they're a good bomber. I've got dockyards. Start building a Admiral class heavy ship. Yeah, do that, because that sounds fun. Give me one of them, and we'll give it to the Mediterranean fleet. Screw it. Let's go. Let's keep moving. Okay, so here we are, even more progress. Newspapers support the marriage. A recent article in the Daily Express has emphasized the king's right of happiness and argues that if the rules do not allow him to marry a divorcee, then perhaps it is time those rules are modernized. This is a welcome show of support for the king. Support forms for Edward VIII. In the midst of the tremendous outrage caused by the king's decision, there are some voices rising up in support of King Edward. Though isolated from the main political parties, the name nonetheless carry weight. Winston Churchill, Oswald Mosley, and David Lloyd George. Though tentatively at first, the group of unlikely politician allies or political allies, are beginning to find traction among the people, and following their lead, more and more dare to publicly support Edward in his decision. Thus strengthened in his resolve, the king has made it clear he has no intention of changing his mind in this matter. The marriage shall go on as planned. Good, we shall set a date. Time for another pop-up. Edward VIII holds a radio speech. King Edward has at last managed to persuade the government to allow him to make a radio speech illustrating what he refers to as his side of the story. He has expressed hopes that this will allow the people to better understand why he feels he must act as he does. It turns out his side of the story was pretty damn convincing. The cabinet resigns. As the king has shown no intention to listen to his government, Stanley Baldwin has seen no other solution but to dissolve it. In a statement, he says it is evident that the cabinet cannot function without the trust of its monarch. In repeatedly discarding the unanimous advice of his ministers, it had been made clear that this advice is neither desired nor observed, and so later tonight I will meet with His Majesty to offer the resignation of the cabinet. Clearly intended as the final protest against the king's decision, it is uncertain whether it will be successful. It is also unknown who the king will announce as Stanley Baldwin's successor or when. In other words, good riddance, they're idiots. I have to admit though, guys, the artwork for the fallen government actually is pretty cool. I mean, just look at it. Look how cool that looks. That's such a nice little portrait. That's such a cool portrait. And on the line is growing sufficiently. sooner or later, that's going to be overtaken. I mean, +7! +7! Oh, for God's sake, really? Newspapers, what is your problem, dude? Honestly, the king will pay you handsomely. Just get me in charge, please. The last thing I want is a civil war. I want the turnover to be done peacefully. Oh God, Dominions break with the... Right, okay, hold on. The Dominions break with the crown. As one, representatives of the Dominion governments have informed us that they will be unilaterally breaking ties with the crown. They cite the king's flagrant disregard for the opinions and wishes of the Dominion's government and their people as the primary reason for why the British Commonwealth relationship can no longer continue. As one Commonwealth official stated in the heated interview, a king who is incapable of putting duty above personal feelings cannot be trusted to act in the best interest of his subjects. Based on recent events, we can determine that the king does not care at all for domestic public opinion. And if this is the nature of his relationship with the British people of all things, then the situation can only become worse for his subjects in the Commonwealth. To safeguard the interests of our people, we therefore see no alternative but to safeguard the... but to remove the king as the head of state. The royal marriage of Edward VIII. At long last, the joyous date for the royal marriage has arrived. Crowds have gathered in their thousands all along the route travelled by the couple from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey. Domestic resistance to the marriage has increasingly showed its impotence through symbolic resignations and other vain protests, and now seems all but silenced. The last such act was the retirement of the Archbishop of Canterbury, Cosmo Lang, and his subsequent replacement with an individual more amenable to the king's wishes. In face of the political turmoil this crisis has caused, the celebrations now ongoing are deeply necessary in returning a semblance of normalcy to public affairs, and as a starting point from which to resolve the present political issues. But it will mend the divides in our nation. Rightio, guys. So now that Edward has finally been married, we can do this focus, the King's Party. And what this basically does, allows you to go down the Edward path, allows you to put the king in charge, and allows you to have a real fun playthrough. So let's just quickly do this, and now that the crisis is over and the government has fallen, the king's most ardent supporters may be able to form a government of their own, much more amenable to the king's wishes. This king's party would consist of David Lloyd George, Winston Churchill, and Oswald Mosley, thereby reaching across political parties and aiding in repairing the unity of our nation. Indeed. Let's start that right up. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The King's Party focus completed. Edward VIII is now King of Great Britain with a fancy-ass new royal flag. For king and country, it's time to rebuild that empire, ladies and gentlemen. The sun never sets on it. So we're going to go down to the next focus. I'm going to do... No, we'll avoid that for now. Yeah, we'll avoid that for now. We'll do this one, though. Because this one gives just by war goal -25. And then it gains another one, which is another 25. So we get like 50% of justification. Oh, wait, no, hold on. No, we lose that. Never mind. It's all good. But anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. Otherwise, it's just going to go far too long. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this first episode. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. I'll see you in the next video I do. I've been Anglo. You've been you. This has been Man the Guns. And I'll see you next time. Laters.